Hey, what's up, guys? It's Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of the Powerlifting for the People podcast. I got my man Micah Marino on the line today. How you doing?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. It's great to have you. So for people listening that maybe aren't familiar with who you are, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you got going on right now?
So my name is Micah Marino. I've been powerlifting probably before half you newbies knew what a barbell even is. I started powerlifting when I was 14. Now I'm 29, so basically half of my life I've been a powerlifter. I have broken some world records. I used to lift in multiply, single-ply gear before Raw was Raw. In 2015, I think I broke 3 world records that year. I broke the all-time highest deadlift at 181. I pulled 795. I was in a single-ply suit. At the time, Ed Cohn had the world record when he was like 18 years old. So it was quite old. Obviously Eddie did it raw. He pulled 791. He still gives me trouble about it. I did it here and he did it raw. But
of course.
World record. That day I lifted in multiply, but I pulled and benched in single ply, and I think I totaled roughly, a little over 2,200. And then I deadlifted 795. That was in 2015. That's when things were starting to change into Raw. So yeah. I kind of got called out by a lot of people saying that I wouldn't be good in Raw. So I was like, all right, bet, let's do it. So from there, I started training for the LA Fit Expo, and I decided to go down to 165 because I had some competition with a guy named Ross Petkoff. I'm not sure if you know who that is. He's a phenom. He actually lives where I live in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I've got to watch him lift a few times. I think at maybe at one of the U.S. Opens and
yeah, he actually won the U.S. Open one of the years. 600 Wilks, 1830 total at 165 in reps. Stupid. So at 2015, I did 1670 or 1666 in sleeves at 165. I actually did get hurt at that meet. That was my last meet I did until a few months ago. So I live in Las Vegas. I own a clothing company called Fight or Quit Apparel. The company is more about, dealing with the fight, the grind. Every day is a fight. I think that a lot of us, we get lazy and we settle for the just being average, and that's not what I try to push people to reach to a certain point. Like, I never thought that I would do some of the things I did, let alone come back from surgeries when doctors were telling me not to. So that's kind of a little bit background. I also do online coaching. I've been doing that since 2014. So it's everyday grind now. It's kind of a little bit of background. I could go on and on, but
yeah, I want to kind of touch on a few points. So I want to kind of rewind back to we do have believe it or not, we do still have a couple of people that do equipped lifting over by us, which is cool. So for the people that are kind of unfamiliar with that, because obviously I know you kind of mentioned people may not have been in the sport for that long, but primarily, especially in like the early 2000s, like multiply lifting and equipped lifting was kind of like the thing, and that's kind of how you competed. So can you just maybe for the newer listeners kind of just discuss a little bit about the differences in the two types of sports, and maybe like what your kind of experiences with the equipment were?
Yeah, for me, man, it's kind of annoying when people, especially raw lifters who haven't even touched a bench shirt or a squat suit, want to talk trash. And I get it, man. It's a different sport. We're lifting more weight, so why not start some drama? But I got introduced to geared lifting because I'm originally from St. Louis, and that's kind of Midwest, and that's it's still big over there. So we're all getting bigger. But my coach originally, the guy his name's Putt Houston. He seen me at like a little USAPL meet. He's like, man, come check out my, the gym we train at, a bunch of old guys, throw in some gear, and I just started experience with it, and my numbers just kept jumping. So, but it's definitely two different sports. I mean, I've squatted anywhere from 900 and multiply to 800 and single ply, and at the time I wasn't even lifting raw, so like the carryover, like for me, people think that it's just one of those things that you can do. Like right now, you know, I squat probably, I think at my next meet I'll probably squat 600 or 700 raw in reps, and if I tried to put a squat suit on right now, like what people would think is be like, oh, you'll squat blah blah blah, and it's like, I'm experienced in gear, but I haven't done it in so long that I probably wouldn't even know what to do if I put on a squat suit right now, because of it's just two different sports. Like, you know, you get it, your squat stance different, your bench, everything's different, so it's just so much. Honestly, to me, I think raw lifting, and this might hurt a lot of feelings, is easier than geared lifting. I think that, and it takes way more time, and I think that's why raw lifting got so big, is because to put on a bench shirt, you need at least 3 dudes. To train raw, if you're not wearing wraps, you can do that in your garage by yourself. You know what I mean? So now, we're not talking about technical stuff. You know, I think being raw it's been fun for me to switch over and really relearn how to do things a little bit different, and really, you know, learn that huge strength, power, technique kind of through you don't have that force through the shirt or the deadlift suit or whatever. So it's been fun for me. You know, I'm not against geared lifting at all. Like I know a lot. I still coach a lot of geared lifters, and if I had the time and the people, I would probably still do single ply. I just don't have any equipment that I could fit in, because when I was wearing it, I was, you know, about 165 pounds. So I think I love single ply lifting. I think single ply is just as cool as raw. It's just not as popular, so no one wants to do it. I don't know why. I think, again, just because it's so much easier to train raw. You don't need training partners. I mean, now on Instagram, you see so many people who are just lifting in garages or at commercial gyms. You're not going to go put a canvas squat suit on or a single ply overkill bench shirt on and ask Joe Schmo to give you a lift out. Like, that's probably why it's as big as it is. And a lot of these guys, man, when I broke that world record and pulled 795, man, the amount of comments, I mean, I blew up on Instagram from that just because of negativity. Like, I literally gained like 45,000 followers within days because of the negativity, like being reposted and like, oh, he barely, you know, he didn't even move the weight off the ground. He's a midget in a squat suit. He couldn't do it. It's funny because people were like, he couldn't even pull over 600 in raw. So I was like, you know what? This was 5 years ago, man. I've always been a cocky little bastard, and I'm always out to just prove people that I work my butt off and I'm talented. So, you know, that same week I got home. I was like, all right, bet. You don't think I could pull 600? So I think there's like a video of me on Instagram where I pulled like 725 raw that same week. And then from there, that's when I was like, all right, well, honestly, I haven't ever really pulled in, like when I was growing up, I lifted in single ply forever. Like I never really did raw. We didn't do raw training. You know how it is. Like 315, throw the suit on, because you have to learn the equipment. You know what I mean? So there's no point of lifting raw. You know what I mean? Like, so
there's a learning curve. I don't know if people realize there's a learning curve for just to like learn how it fits, how to put it on, how it's going to fit you, how many, you know, where your stance is going to be. There's just a lot more variables to consider, for sure. But yeah, I think it's funny. I think people kind of assume you just throw this thing on and all of a sudden you get like 300 pounds of carryover and then that's it, you know?
I used to offer people money. I'm like, dude, if you really move what I just pulled in a suit, I will send you my suit and then send you money after you do it. I don't care if you weigh 350. I guarantee you'll put this suit on and it's not going to happen. Why do you think a lot of bigger guys don't deadlift in a suit? Yeah. Because it's difficult. Like it's hard to get to the bar, you know? So it's not easier. I always tell people, pulling sumo, lifting in gear, it's easier, once you figure it out. The figuring out part is not easy, you know?
Yeah, I feel you. I remember my first couple of equip meets. I couldn't even reach the bar because I was so big, and I pulled raw for a bit. So awesome stuff. I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about your clothing company a little bit. I love the message. I love Fight or Quit. I just think it's a great kind of slogan. What inspired you to kind of to start that? I mean, what was it? Your injury? Was it something else? Like, what was kind of the inspiration behind that?
It's kind of a funny story. So, my brother, they obviously don't lift weights. I have two older brothers, a middle brother, his name's Jake, and then an older brother, his name's Luke. And then I have another step brother, his name's Nick. He's older as well. And then I had a younger step brother who was my best friend. We played hockey from 3 years old up to high school, and he actually overdosed on heroin and died. When the year we got out of high school, he ended up overdosing and dying. And it's actually a crazy story because that's another story. But yeah, so it's crazy because me and my brother Jake, he was like, man, I want to get a tattoo. And he wanted to get a tattoo of a fist, kind of like I have one on my arm. It's a fist, like all scratched up, and it's been into a fight, and it's like bloody and and he has it on his shoulder, and then it says "Just fight," never quit, kind of thing, something like that. So that slogan has always, and that's when I was like 15, 14. And I was kicked out when I was 14 years old, so I've kind of lived on my own. So I always have that mentality of like, well, I got to figure it out. I was one of the top 100 recruits as a running back as a sophomore. I worked, paid my rent, went to school, worked out, and literally that was the thing. Like I worked at Steak and Shake that was up the street from my school. Like I literally walked to school, so I would go to school, I would go to school, go to football, then I'd have to go to work, and then I would wake up 2 hours early before school and go train, just because I liked the way I looked, and I was strong, and I was athletic, and talented at football. So that was kind of always my life of being like, I have to figure this out. So that became the fight for me. So in 2000, this is our third year, me and my fiance Steph Powell, a lot of people know her. We were thinking of like, all right, I've always wanted to make a clothing company. I always thought it was cool to like design. I've always had kind of swagger, and I like shoes and I like shirts, and I've always had that. So we were like, you know what, screw it, I've established a social media. She's got social media. I was like, you know what? Let's think of a brand. And then we tried the Fight or Flight, and we're like, that just doesn't sound right. And then we were like, all right, Fight or Quit. And then like we made a one T-shirt, and then started selling it. And that was almost 2.5 years ago. We sold one T-shirt in our store. And now, today, we have over 50 designs, nice. 50 different shirts, hoodies, leggings. We have an entire store. We have about 15 athletes. So the brand has really grown. And I think behind the brand, the reason why people support it is obviously because they like me and Steph, one. But now it's getting to the point where we're going to events, and people I'll be at the booth, and they won't know me, but they'll know the brand.
It's great,
and that's huge to me because this is my passion, and it's not about like making T-shirts, but it's like every T-shirt that we make and someone buys, they can relate. Like if I have a shirt that says "Just Fight, Hustle, Dedicate," even fuck, humble, cocky, strong, like we're getting into these people's heads to tell them that like life is not easy, and like every day is a fight. Like it's not always. And that's why when we made our design, it was a claw, this little claw right here, instead of like a guy lifting weights, because that's what the brand isn't about lifting weights. The brand is about life. And life is a fight, you know. Everybody fights and everybody quits. You know what I mean? So we wanted to make it an option. Like, this is what you guys have. Here it is. So, I mean, it's been a really cool ride. It's crazy to see, like, the growth. The hustle is something that, like, is the hardest part because, you know, I've been at times where I've coached over 10,000 athletes since 2015, and there's were times where I had like 2,000 or 200 clients online at a time, and now because of the clothing line has grown so much that I don't even have, and me and her do it all. So we do the printing. So we have a print shop in our garage. We print, we package, we label, we ship, take to the post office. We do the marketing. Like, it's just me and her. Because that's what I feel that is necessary, instead of just being like, oh, let's be those Instagram people and just let people do our work and then put up a clothing company that's talking about fighting. Like, that's just like, that doesn't really, I don't like that. I want people to know, like, every order that comes through, me or her will sign, hey guys, just fight Micah Marino or whatever, some little note that may bring that next person to, like, oh man, I got to do it. You know what I mean? And the amount of tags we get, and people are like, I appreciate you for this. And that's something that's really rewarding, because at the end of the day, to be able to push someone else, that's always been like something for me that I love doing. Like, yeah, I'm a cocky dude when it comes to like lifting weights, and like, I'm very competitive. I don't like to lose. But to be able to help someone else and make them realize, like, oh shit, like, okay. And to be honest with you, like, this may come off wrong, but like, it's 2020 and so many people are just babies, man, and lazy, and they don't want to do the work. They think it's like, you know, they see guys like Larry Wheels and even myself who broke some world records, and they think like things happen like this. It's like, dude, I've been lifting weights since I was 13.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm still learning, you know? So that's when it's like, you guys just have to really push, and you know, you really find out the true athlete in someone when you push them to that extreme. And that's what the brand's about, is being able to face adversity, you know. And I learned that growing up, man, you know. So to be able to give that back to these people and not be fake about anything, and you know, that's kind of what we're trying to do here, you know. So it's fun. It's tough, but it's fun. You know, when people say be your own boss, it's easy, it's fun, that's bullshit.
I know from experience, brother.
I know.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I think it's awesome that like you're like living the brand, and that you kind of want them to, like, you didn't want just to kind of take the easy way out. So I think that's a really powerful message for people listening. And I also loved that you talked about, I think, again, one of the great things about social media, because we probably wouldn't have been able to connect and things like that, you know, people are so used to having things so quickly, and they're not like used to actually, when things get tough, a lot of people kind of fold, you know, and that's like when you really got to like lean into the resistance. You really got to push forward. So I think it's a great message, especially now when a lot of our backs are against the wall, and we got to kind of figure out a way to kind of continue to push forward. So I think it's a great message. Yeah. I definitely love
we literally have a shirt that says strong. We made this shirt last year, and it says stronger together.
Nice.
So like now, like that shirt is selling.
Amazing.
Because like I've posted about it. I'm like, yo, this is the perfect time for
sure.
us to, like, as people, that we have to like build together. I actually hosted a powerlifting meet, and I called it Stronger Together. And it was for athletes by athletes.
Awesome.
So yeah, for sure, man.
It's a great message. And so I wanted to kind of switch gears a little bit, but kind of along the same topic with your brand. I know you kind of overcame like a pretty devastating like injury that maybe, I don't know if you thought this or not, but you know, it could have been a career-ending injury, but you obviously have bounced back since that. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, what was kind of going through your head, and then kind of like how did you overcome that mentally and physically?
Yeah. So like I said, in 2015, LA Fit Expo, that was my. Here's a funny thing, bro. If you look up on open powerlifting, I've literally only done 3 raw meets. Like, everything else has been in years. So people like look at me as like this phenom. I'm like, dude, I'm just as like new to the sport, to raw as most people. But So anyways, 2015 LA Fit Expo. That prep was probably it was my first real raw training, like real raw training prep. So I got really strong really fast, but I was dieting to get down to 165, and I swear there's some Instagram photos of me like where I'm probably 3.5% body fat, 165 body weight, and it just, it got too tough on my body. I started dealing with some quad pain, and I just kept, and then it would end up being into my knee, where there was days where I couldn't even walk up the steps to get to my apartment, so, and this comes to the brand, and actually, I pulled my last deadlift for 2 weeks out, and I doubled 750, and after that day, my knee was, I knew something was wrong, but I knew that, I've been hyping this meet up, and here's a chance for me to actually break, another world record and whatever, it may have been a stupid decision, but that decision has gotten me to where I am today.
Yeah.
So anyways, I go to the meet, everything happens. I actually did it terrible. I mean, I think I did terrible, but I was able to break the world record total in the all-time full power deadlift. But after that meet, I couldn't put my foot down and walk. I actually didn't even get to walk up to the platform to get my my little medal or whatever. So then I got into this depression mode, man. I'm like, oh wow, I just broke this world record, and raw is fun and it's easy, and I'm ready to do more, And that was in 2015, man. I kind of just said screw it, and I was in that, that first stage of I'm not hurt as an athlete. I can kind of just work through it.
Yeah.
So I was like, screw it. I'll still push through. And then I was making a transition of moving from St. Louis to Vegas. So I was like, oh, great. I'm moving to Vegas for powerlifting, but I can't even powerlift. So a year went by of me not even doing squats or deadlifts. So I started benching, and I got my bench over 500. And then I finally, it was 2000, and the end of 2016 is when I got my first knee surgery on my left knee. And the surgery that I got, it wasn't no ACL or MCL where they can go in and just kind of reattach and then rehab it back and you'll be fine. I had, they kind of what they said was if you tore a piece of paper in half and you see all the junk and ratchet stuff, that's what the inside of my knee looked like, of all the cartilage. So they had to do a microfracture surgery and some other stuff where they had to remove cartilage, drill some holes to try to get it to regrow back. When I woke up from the surgery, the doctor was like, that's for being 20, I think I was 27, whatever, 26, 27, he said, your knee was the worst knee I've seen. If you were 55, we would have given you a knee replacement, as far as it being so nasty. So he was like, he told me right there, he's like, running, lifting, all that stuff, how it is, you shouldn't be doing. And that kind of, I didn't know no better. That kind of hurt me, and I was like, oh, man. I mean, obviously I told him to fuck off, but, yeah, I mean, it was tough. And then that whole year, that was when the U.S. Open had their first meet, and I was like, you know what, this is my time to stand up and prove to people that this isn't, and not only that, but to myself, that I can do this. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to come back to the U.S. Open, and I'm going to win. And this was 5 months after a knee surgery where doctors were telling me I'm not doing it. So, you know what, I hit the rehab really, really hard. I came back actually stronger. I actually pulled 806 in the gym. But this was 2 months out before the first U.S. Open. I pulled 806, and as soon as I pulled it, I felt the exact same thing that I was feeling 2 years prior in my opposite knee. So I was like, I just, I kind of was like, wow. I went right back to that, I'll be okay, I just need to rest. And then that's when I, really got depressed, and I'm like, man, this is just bullshit, what the hell, but I just hopped right into it, man. I'm like, you know what, I'm just just going to I'm going to pull through it and keep pushing. I love powerlifting so much. It was about a year went by, and I just was still pushing that knee, pulling conventional, not competing, obviously, because I wasn't nowhere near strong. And finally, I was like, man, I gotta just go see a doctor. And he told me the same thing. So what had happened is throughout, rehab I've never had an injury before. So the guy that was doing my rehab never had me do anything on the opposite knee. So everything that I was doing was on the knee that I just got surgery on. So it just made sense. Why would you not do both legs? Like, I always get mad at myself. I'm like, just as an athlete, like, so I was just making one leg stronger. Like, my knee that I got surgery on became the good knee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyways, long story short, 2000 and what's that? The end of 2018. Yes, I had my second knee surgery on the other knee. Same exact surgery. But when I woke up, the difference between the surgeries is the first doctor told me no weight bearing for 12 weeks. So that sucked. My knee, going 12 weeks, like my arm, I have pictures of my arm being bigger than my leg. So when I woke up the next day, I didn't really get depressed. I kind of was like, fuck it. I already know. I know how to do it. I just got to do it right away. So I literally we crutched out of the hospital. I was in rehab that next day on both legs. And then within, a couple months, I'm lifting weights again. Then I started realizing that I have some muscle issues where my muscles aren't firing. Like, I can't even get into a sumo stance, and I couldn't even deadlift 405. No knee pain. The knee was good to go, ready to work. I'm shifting in squats, shifting in deadlifts, getting so frustrated because I know how to do it, but my brain to my legs weren't working. So then I reached out to Squat University. I don't know if you know who he is. I reached out to him and Steffi Cohen, and they both sent me some basic ass. Literally, bro, the stuff they sent me was pistol leg squats on an incline, standing on like a block, putting the leg down, doing single leg stuff. Like, everything I was doing, it was double legs. So single leg stuff, getting that mind connection, and really like almost meditating the mind to the muscle. And then they had me doing like backpedaling with farmer carry with the sled. That was it, dude. Within the first day that I tried to do a pistol leg squat, no way. I couldn't do a 2-inch pistol leg squat and tap my knee down without falling. Within 2 weeks, I went from struggling with 2 inches to being able to do 14 inches for like 10 reps on both legs. Within like 2 weeks, knee pain gone. As soon as I got into my sumo stance, everything was just like, so I was like, all right, it's time to, let's do a meet, So then I found the hybrid meet, and Steffi Cohen had the hybrid showdown. I hired a coach, Jason Manikoff, who's an IPF guy, super. I don't know if you know who he is.
Yeah, no, we've crossed paths a few times. I've known Jay for a while. Yep.
Yeah. Everybody's probably had an argument with him once or twice.
At least once. but very knowledgeable, and I think honestly he sometimes gets a bad rap, but I think he always comes from a good place. I think he wants the sport to be better,
Yeah,
so
he's just so honest that
he's brutally honest. Yeah.
When we first met, it was because he was bashing my stuff on social media.
That makes sense.
Spots were high, and I was like, dude, fuck you. Come see me, dog. You bench like you squat like 500, bro. I'm like, you can't even talk to me. Anyways, so I hired him because I just wanted to. I'm tired. I need to see something on paper.
Yes.
And I trust his how strict he is. Like, I know
extremely strict.
Like, I knew nothing about his coaching style. I just knew how strict he was with the rules.
Yeah.
It's not about I need a coach for technique, because I pretty much know my body. I need a coach to have a strict program.
Hold you accountable.
He doesn't care that it's me or that it's blah blah. Like, this, you're hiring me, you have to do it this way. So I needed someone to hold me accountable.
Yeah.
So that prep, it went by really good. I ended up totaling 1802 at 180.
Nice.
And yeah, I mean, it was my best meet of my life. I've never gone over 6 for 9 ever. You know how it is in gear. The meet I did to break the world record, I went 5 for 9 raw and still broke the world record. So it was like, I'm not a good power lifter. I'm just talented and strong. Like, so I needed someone to push me and hold me accountable for being like, not trying to take shortcuts and make it look cool and this and that. So I kind of had to put like the social media bullshit on pause because I want to do something cool. So I only missed one lift, and it was my second deadlift, 711. It was only because I locked my knees out before my hips, and it moved so fast that I just lost balance. So I ended up going up anyways, just so I could break 1800.
Sure, yeah.
And then I ended up having like a 556 Wilks, actually getting second all time, or second overall best lifter of the meet. Won some money. So
nice.
It was it was my best meet I've ever had after 2 knee surgeries in 5 years. That was my first meet in 5 years, man. So
that's huge, yeah.
And for me, it wasn't even like people always ask me like, how'd you make it happen? And I'm like, it was hard, but now that I look back at it, like, it was just because this is what I love to do. Like, it wasn't like no one was forcing me to do this. Like, I just love to do it. And people are like, well, why are you putting so much damage on your body? And I'm like, man, like, I'm going to live my life the way I have fuck humble tatted on my forearm for a reason, like I'm going to do what I want to do. And I just love powerlifting. Like, I've done it since I've been 13, 14 years old, and I actually, to be able to challenge myself to come back and actually be stronger than what I was is something that no one can. For me, world records don't mean anything to me anymore in my mind. I mean, sure, if I got to that point, I just want to continue to get better, and I think that was my biggest issue of why I never was doing what I was capable of, because I was always worried about what the next person was going to say about me, and I had to prove them, and I had to worry about these numbers in the world records and this and that. Now I just train to get better, and I think that's helped me so much. I don't stress about like what if King of the Lifts are going to repost me or is
right.
blah 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 going to like my post. Like, I don't give a fuck, man. I hope they don't post me. Like, I do this for me, and not for to gain followers. Like, I've already, like, to me, it's like I've proved myself.
Yes.
5 years ago. Now I want to have fun and enjoy my process of this is. I mean, a lot of people get upset when they say like, "Oh, powerlifting isn't a hobby; it's a lifestyle." I'm like, okay, it is a lifestyle when you're at a extreme level, but at the end of the day, this is still a hobby to us because we're not getting paid. We ain't making money. There's no salary in this. And that's why I love powerlifting. Like, honestly, like, I understand like payouts are cool and everything, but like, bro, I think powerlifting is what it is because of the passion. It's not because of the payouts. And you've seen some really shitty meets who have huge payouts because everyone was focusing on that money. Like the first couple of U.S. Opens, like, yeah, you had some good meets, but like expectations of people, and then like they're not doing what they should be doing because now they're chasing that money, and and then you have people who are doing like, they're doing to get to a meet like a GoFundMe. Like, man, this is what is going on? Like, powerlifting's about passion. Like, if you can't afford to go to a meet, find a closer meet, man. Don't stop chasing these big meets, and if you'll get there one way. Like, I had to work 3 jobs to afford my first local meet, like to even pay the entry fee. You know what I mean? Like, as a teenager, so it's like, it's just, it actually bothers me a lot because I think powerlifting is more about passion. It is a professional sport because we don't make money, but that's why I always say, like, it's true. I think powerlifting is the best sport in the world because of the passion, because there is no money. There's money involved, like with sponsors and Instagram ads and this and that, but like when you go to a competition, like you watch NFL football, dude, if they break their nail, they're sitting out of the game. We'll train with torn pecs. we'll go to meets fucked up because we love this. You know what I mean? You know how it is. So that's what powerlifting is to me. It's not because I want to gain followers. That just happened because it just happened. I didn't expect it.
I think that we were fortunate also kind of when we got in, there was not really like a big kind of internet presence. It was a little bit more underground. And to your point, I've always kind of believed that, powerlifting is kind of about self-improvement. It is, yes, it is about competition and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I think you got to do it for you. You can't do it for like your followers or the fans and all this stuff. Eventually that stuff's going to get old. You got to it's got to mean something to you. It's got to mean something inside. And I think that's a great message for the younger people. So I wanted to also kind of open up this question to you. Like, do you have any, there was a lot of great advice in there, but do you have any other like kind of something that you could either wish you could tell your younger self or maybe just someone who's starting out that's newer? Like, what advice do you have to the young people that are kind of starting out in the sport? Like, what would you tell them if they're just getting involved in powerlifting?
So I have a tiny story. When I was in high school, like I couldn't read. I can't read. I can't spell. I literally cheated on every piece of homework I did just because I was one of those athletes who was trying to go to a Division I college to play football. But everyone that I went to school with was on heroin, doing drugs, partying, like crazy stuff. And what stopped me from not doing all, like I fought, I did all that crazy stuff, but I never wanted to get involved in the drugs. Sure, I smoked weed and maybe did Molly once or twice, whatever. But like hardcore, like doing heroin, like kids were doing heroin in high school in the bathroom. That's how bad it was in St. Louis. To where the reason why I stopped, but the reason why I stayed focused is because I cared so much about my strength, my look. I didn't want to get weak. So like that kind of saved my life to where like I've had multiple friends die. My brother died, like all these things. I still hear friends from high school that were like geniuses, super smart, who are in jail or dead, and all because of just bad decisions. And if I had to tell like any athlete who's young, I would, there's so many things I would tell them, but like most importantly, I would just say be patient because that's the problem today is no one wants to, and it's not the new athlete's fault. Like it's the influencers' fault of us posting, come join my program, and I've done it. We gotta make money, but like for me, I think patience is key in this sport because bad things can happen fast. I see so many people come in this sport and quit so fast just because of injuries or it's too hard, and they see the overnight growth, and there is no such thing as overnight growth. Like even the best, you know what I mean? Like even like the freak shows, and you see some freak shows come in and they do damage and then they leave because they get burnt out, and then that just shows their true passion of it's not real to me at least. But that's like to be simple is just patience. Like stop. You have your role models, man. I still have role models, like Dan Green's one of my biggest role models. The dude's just like me. He's been through so much, and he still hasn't done a meet because every time he gets better, something happens. It's not because he's training stupid. It's because the dude's a monster, and things happen. You know what I mean? Like we're not made to lift weights. Like there's no way around it. Like injuries will happen. Like that's the thing is when they do happen for these younger athletes, you can't get discouraged. You have to figure out a way and learn and get the right people. I always tell people, like, hire a coach, but you have to learn, like, how to trust your coach. Like, so many athletes now, like I said, I've coached 10,000 people in the last, 4 or 5 years. I should be a multi-millionaire just by athletes that I coach, but because of so many people stopped lifting weights or stop being coached, regardless of me sucking or whatever. But a lot of people just give up, because it's too hard. It's like, oh man, I thought that I would be at this. Like I just put 5. There's so many athletes that just at their first meet I'll put 100 pounds on their total, and in their second meet I put 5 pounds, and they're like, fuck this. And it's like, dude, like for me to hit a 2.5 kilo PR on my total would be life-saving, even if it's a
tremendous.
Year of training.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's patience is what I would just tell people, and you're not going to get good overnight. Don't get discouraged. And a lot of the times I want to tell people to just be themselves. Like so many people, like powerlifting is, that I think one reason why I am good at powerlifting is because I'm not scared. Like I have fuck humble tatted on me. I have cocky strong shirts. I have fuck humble t-shirts. And I think that confidence has really built me into my mind where it helps.
You're good, brother. I can still, yep.
Sorry, someone's calling me. It really helps me. Like to me, when I walk up to a bar, or let's say I'm reading my program, and how many athletes you see when they're like, it's peak week, and I write a number down, and they'll text me, and they'll be like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, dude? Like that mentality right there makes you want to punch you in the face. Like if I see a number, like all through that prep, everything was so like when I would look down and see like, oh, I have to hit a 420 bench, a 630 squat, a 700 deadlift. I'm like looking at it like, the fuck? This week's going to be a fucking easy. Like, I want more. And I think that you have to want more, but be patient in the same time, because the more will come when you understand how to control your body, be confident. There's so many talented athletes that are just weak-minded and scared that they don't get successful, and lifting weights at least, So I think patience is patience and trust. You have to trust your coach, and there's so much free knowledge that a lot of the times, like, you just have to know who to watch. Like, how many videos can you go on right now and find out how to deadlift sumo? But how much bullshit is out there too? That's the and it's again, I always tell athletes that are new, it's not your fault. This is not your fault. It's being 2020 and everyone knows it all, So I would just say, be patient and find someone you can absolutely trust and give them time. How many clients hire a coach, fire a coach within 3 weeks because they haven't PR?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? How long does it take? You've been working with Larry for years and years and years.
Yeah, it's been like a six-year process. I think our best athletes have been with me for at least 3 years. I think people kind of forget that, and a lot of people are only, like you said, to your point, they're only thinking 3 weeks in. But I really like what you said about I think having patience is key just to be successful in all areas of your life. And I think that trust factor is big. Everything kind of starts in between your ears here. And oddly enough, so we had a conversation with Eddie Hall. Eddie Hall came by to watch some of Larry's lifting at the Arnold this year. It was really cool. And he said something to the effect like, first you got to be cocky, and then that cockiness leads to confidence. So I think a lot of people are scared. So that was like really profound hearing him say that, because I basically asked him, what's kind of going through your head when you're going to pull a deadlift that no one's ever done before? And that was kind of his response. So I thought that was really cool to hear. And I think a lot of us, we might be all fired up and stuff externally, but internally, do we really have that confidence? And a lot of people don't. But I think that really what separates the best competitors and the people that are most successful is they do have that inner belief and they do have that inner confidence. And it's okay to be like a little bit cocky, like I said, for the right reasons, So
I think any strength athlete has to be like, look at the best NFL players, like Chad Ochocinco, Terry Owens. Like, these dudes are fucking cocky, but guess what? They're badasses. Like,
And I would imagine too, like I know even with myself, and I'm sure with yourself, you're a completely different person when you're all right, Micah Marino, you're on deck, and then it's like there's a switch that flips, and you might be even perceived as a little bit of a dick when you're competing, but now obviously we're having, you know what I mean? So it's just, but you have to like have that switch in order to kind of harness all that to hit a 700, 800 pound deadlift. Like you need to be able to almost be like a different person, the kind of an extreme version of yourself, and have that confidence,
I feel like powerlifting meets, it's not like a football game where you have one every week. You have 2 meets a year. So it's like when I get that time, that 30 seconds to be on the platform, or that 60 seconds, like that's my time, like to showcase my strength, showcase my power, showcase my swag, like everything. Like I tell people like that's my time to do whatever the fuck I want. Like that's why it's like boxing is one of my favorite sports, because in fighting, not because I like to watch the match, but because that minute from them to walk down into the ring, that gets me so, like, that stuff like that is what I watch before I lift, because them walking down and I can see their swag and see their confidence, and everyone has a different way. Like, some people bounce down, some people whatever, and they're, you know, that moment is like my moment for me to walk up to the platform, cocky as hell, lift the weight, put it down, and the moment I get off the platform is totally different. Like, I'm not going to go in the warm-up unless, you know, I'm competing against somebody and, like, I'll shake their hand before the meet, but when we're competing, like, we're in a boxing match, man. Like, I'm here to beat you. Like, I didn't come here to lose. Like, that's what it was cool, because the kids that I competed against, they were like 20 and I think 21 turned 9. One was like 19, turning 20, but they were strong, dude. Like, one kid squatted 680. The other kid was like deadlifting 700, and like the whole time on social media, like, I hyped it up, man. I was like, yo, a vet versus some young punks, cool, talented, you know, young guns, whatever. And like the whole time I'm like, yo, I'm not, you know, we'll see, you know, hyping it up. Like, you know how, like, Conor McGregor's one of my favorite athletes because of look how successful he is just by him being who he is, and not being afraid of what fucking Joe Schmo down the street is gonna say. I don't give a fuck about him. He's probably buying my T-shirts, you know what I mean? That's kind of, or my liquor or whatever, you know what I mean? That's kind of Conor McGregor. So, like, I love that mentality, and it's like, he's not rude to people. Like, I'm not mean to, like, the person that comes up to me. He's like, hey, can I get a picture of you? I'm like, fuck you, dude. No, it's not me. Like, you know, so, like, you know, and I get a lot of bash because I have, like, fuck humble and he's cocky, and I'm like, dude, you've never had a conversation with me.
But also it's sometimes it's taken out of context, and that's you. But yeah, and that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to kind of have you on today. I think it's a real positive message at the end of the day, and I really appreciate you coming on. So where can people find more about you? Like, what if you want to give your Instagram and your website? Where can they get a shirt?
Yeah, so for my clothing, I mean, you can just go to the website is fighterquit.com, and then we're also on Instagram at fighterquitco, and then obviously my social media is Micah_Marino, and then also my fiance, Steph F15, she's a beast.
Yeah, great lifter as well.
She's a part of the brand too. That's kind of where it is, and you know, we're here to help. I mean, we try to respond to everyone as quickly as we can. We do it all, so you know, it's a fun process of being able to give other people, like, hope and to, like, push them through clothing and also make money about it. I mean, a lot of people don't understand that this is a business. This is how we pay our bills, but at the same time, we're not making bullshit product where it's like, you know, I don't want to, like, call any brands out, but, like, there's some stuff out there that it's just like, I don't want to, like, it's just, there's so much stupid, especially in clothing, like, there's some stupid stuff out there that's, like, that doesn't relate to real life. Like, how can, like, so when I never wanted to go down that road where it's like, I don't want to have a donut on a T-shirt, because that doesn't relate to what I do. I don't eat that way, you know. And sure, I'll have a donut every once in a while, but, like, how is this going to benefit me? And that's when I thought about it when we were building, like, we want to build an empire. We want to have a gym. We want to have, like, we want to have it all, you know. And I think how can we benefit? And I think that's why we do as good as we do, is because people see that. They buy into, like, wow, this is a lifestyle. We want to support that. You know what I mean? We're not putting out bullshit. Like some people, you know, they might think, like, okay, we have a lot of profanity and da-da-da-da, but, and dude, it's 2020, you know. Everybody knows what it is, you know. So we just want to try to give out our best selves, and this is who we are, and we're not scared to be talked bad about or be put down. Like, dude, I can't read, I can't spell, but I can lift weights, and I'm motivating people. So whatever, I barely graduated high school, you know, whatever, I don't care. But I'm a good dude, I'm good-hearted, and I'm helping people. So fucking education.
I appreciate you coming on the call today. Guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, please give it a 5-star review. Please share it with a friend. Helps other people find us. Definitely support the brand. You can check out the links in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. And until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.